Hi, I'm Dan from Hytera UK and welcome to Hytera Product Focus. This is a series of videos where we look at a range of two-way radios, accessories, applications and solutions from Hytera. Today we're going to be looking at the X1 series of radios, which is our highest tier DMR portables in our digital radio range. Let's start by having a look at the different types of the X1 series. Next to me I have the two main variants of the X1 series. Furthest away from me I have the X1P and closest to me I have the X1E. Both of these are fully featured radios with a variety of functions, but they come in several different frequency variants. From a VHF perspective, both the X1E and X1P are available in 136 to 174 MHz. There are then two UHF variants for the X1E and X1P, the first being UHF1 on 400 to 470 MHz, the second being 450 to 520 MHz, which is UHF2. So make sure to select the correct frequency band based on the licensed frequencies you have. Just by looking at the X1 series radios, you can see these radios have been designed to the very, very highest standard. The X1E that I have here in front of me is actually the thinnest full power DMR radio in the world at the time of filming. It's perfect for those users that require discretion when using their two-way radio. The radio itself is rated both the X1E and X1P to IP67, which is for dust and liquid ingression. This shows that not only are the radios stylish, they're also robust, rugged and reliable. In terms of the power output we can expect from the X1E and X1P, on low power in both UHF and VHF, that's 1 watt power output. In UHF it's 4 watt power output, and in VHF it's 5 watt power output. The radios then have a variety of emergency functions and useful functions for those working as lone workers. Starting off with this dedicated orange button on this side of the radio, that can be set for a short press or a long press to turn emergency on and off. What this means can depend on how your radio reseller sets it up, so make sure to talk to your point of purchase about how you intend to use this radio in an emergency, and I'm sure they'll be delighted to tell you all the different things that you can do. We then have features such as lone worker, man down and GPS in the X1E and X1P as standard. Lone worker works by detecting when there's been a period of inactivity on the radio for a set number of seconds or a set number of minutes, and then it will go into pre-alarm after this designated period of inactivity, which is set up during programming. After it's gone into pre-alarm, if no buttons have been pressed, the radio will then go into full emergency mode, which is exactly as if you'd pressed the orange button to trigger your emergency on the X1 radio. With man down, we have a couple of different options in terms of how man down can be set up. The first being tilt. This, as the name suggests, detects when the radio has been tilted past a certain number of degrees. It will go into pre-alarm, as we talked about with lone worker, followed by alarm if the radio isn't put back to its upright vertical position in time. Another option for man down is the non-movement sensor, which detects, as the name suggests again, once the radio has not been moved for a certain period of time, it will go into pre-alarm, followed by alarm if the radio is still not then moved. GPS can be used to track the radio, and this is standard in both the X1E and the X1P radios over an application like Hytera Smart Dispatch or Hytera Smart XPT, or a variety of third-party applications. When looking at another feature which is crucial with the X1E and really sets the X1E and X1P apart is the integral Bluetooth. This can not just be used to connect up Hytera Bluetooth accessories, but can be used to connect up certain other third-party Bluetooth accessories as well. So talk to your point of purchase about which Bluetooth accessories you could connect up. Bluetooth can also be used with certain third-party applications to track your radio internally. So once again, talk to your point of purchase if you intend to use the X1 radio for internal tracking in your establishment. The X1E and X1P are a very feature-rich radio and are perfect whether they're used on a traditional low-end system, such as an analog conventional system. They then also offer DMR Tier 2, DMR conventional. They offer MPT 1327 analog trunking for all those 1327 analog trunk users that we have out there. They also offer XPT, Hytera digital trunking, which is extended pseudo trunking, and DMR Tier 3 trunking, so that's 5-mode operation within this radio. That's not even considering the fact that you can use Hytera standard pseudo trunking, which is a 2-slot DMR trunking method patented by Hytera, which we'll cover in a separate video. For those users again wanting this radio for discretion, the radio can be set to vibrate based on receiving a call or receiving a text and a variety of other things. So again, that stops the radio from making a noise if you're receiving a private call, and can just be set to do vibrate only, or a mixture of the two if you're in a noisy environment. For those using the X1E and X1P in a secure way, the radio can be licensed up to AES 256 for those security users. The X1P that I have here on my left can be set up to do telephony interconnect. That means you can connect it and make and receive calls on your X1P radio from your telephone system via a solution such as the Grandstream IPBX. Just to really drive home the point about how suitable these radios are for users in the security industry, you can even set up the radio to do Morse code with the function key on the side of it. These really are an incredibly feature-rich radio, so discuss anything and everything that you want to be able to do with your point of purchase to get the most out of your X1E or X1P radio. But right now we're going to look at how this particular radio is set up in terms of the keys that we have on here and how you might choose to use it in day-to-day operation. On the left-hand side, which is the opposite to most of Hytera's radio range, but we'll come to that in a minute, we have the on-off volume control knob, which allows me to obviously turn my radio on and off and control the volume. The opposite side to that, I have the channel change knob, which allows me to change groups, change channels, based on who I need to speak to at that specific point in time. On this side of the radio, I have the push to talk button, which allows me to make a group call to the group that I'm on at that particular point in time. And as you can hear, I'm making calls wherever I press that push to talk button. We also have a feature key, which is pre-programmable. On this side of the radio, it can be set to do a variety of things, such as change the transmit power, turn lone worker on or off, turn man down on or off, and much, much more. We have a designated orange emergency button, in this case on the back of the X1P radio, which allows me to set up a variety of emergency functionalities, which again you can talk to your point of purchase about. There are function keys on the front of the X1P radio as well. And if I choose to go into the menu on the backlit display, I can see that I have a contact list, I can send text messages, I have my call logs, and I can change a variety of settings on here and a variety of other functionalities just at a click of a button. On this side of my X1P radio, I have an accessory port which, when the cover is removed, will allow me to connect to a range of remote speaker microphones and other audio accessories, including covert audio accessories, perfect for those users working in security. One final thing just to note on the X1P radio, which I have here in front of me, is that the push to talk and the channel change volume control knob and even the display and keypad itself appear to actually be on the back of the radio. This is ideal for those users using this as a covert radio in a secure environment, as it allows you to face the radio away from you, still make use of your emergency button and have the push to talk on the traditional side of your radio. Next, we're going to look at what comes in the box when you purchase your X1 series radio, in this case a Hytera X1E. The important thing to note is that this is relevant to the UK market, the UK region only, and is subject to change, so do check with your point of purchase before placing your order. The first and most important thing that you will receive is the radio transceiver itself. In this case, this is the X1E transceiver as a UHF variant. Next, I received my antenna. Now, depending on which variant and which antenna I've specified, this is the stubby UHF antenna. I can ask for a variety of other antennas, including the UHF titanium antenna, which we'll come to later on in this video. But for now, you can see that just screws into the top there nice and easily. Speaking of flexibility, I have a variety of batteries based on how I intend to use the radio. If the radio is intended to be thin and for discretion, I can select the BL1103. But if I want to use the X1E or X1P radios for a longer period of time, I can use or select the slightly thicker, higher capacity batteries, which again we'll come on to in the next section of this video. The radio itself the battery itself clicks into place, as you've heard just then, and the radio is ready to use as long as that battery is charged. In terms of carrying options, I have this nylon wrist strap. There is a belt clip that you can select as an optional accessory as well. To charge my radio's battery, I have this single-way charger. This is the CH10L15. Now what you'll notice about this is that you have the space both for your radio to be charged with the battery on it, and a separate pod at the back if you have a spare battery for the battery to be charged separately. So this is perfect for those users using their radio and sharing them with other people and just changing the battery and charging the battery up separately itself. One little point to note when it comes to charging up your X1P radio in particular, most people make the common mistake that you try and fit it in this way round. You actually need to turn the X1P way around this way, and that will be charging correctly like that, facing away from you. The single way charger here has come with a UK plug, but this can obviously be changed to a European plug or various other plugs depending on where you're using and charging your radio. Finally, the X1s come with a user guide as well as a declaration of conformity from Hytera. Hytera have a full range of accessories for the X1E and X1P radio, including charging accessories, carrying accessories, and a variety of audio accessories which range from standard earpieces all the way through to high-level covert earpieces and audio accessories. Let's start by having a look at an antenna option that we have for the X1 series radio. This is the UHF titanium antenna, which is available in a variety of different frequency bands. This is designed for covert users, as it can be attached to the radio itself, and then if the radio is worn under a piece of covert clothing or under a piece of clothing, the antenna can be bent to one side or another side, and it doesn't look like within your clothing that you're carrying a radio because you've got no outline of an antenna. So far as charging is concerned, we've seen the single-way charger which had an extra slot for the batteries. This is the MCA10, the MCA10, which is a 6-way charging unit for your X1E or X1P radios. Keep in mind that this only charges the X1E or X1P radios, but if you have a mixed fleet, maybe you have some PD7 series, some PD6 series, PD5 series, you can buy an adapter to allow you to charge up those radios within the MCA10. Whilst talking about charging the radios, it's important to look at the variety of battery options we have for the X1E and X1P radios. Starting off with the BL1103 1100 mAh lithium-ion battery. This is perfect for those who intend to use the radio as a thin radio. As you can see, there's a slight curvature in there. This offers around about 10 hours battery life in digital mode, working on a 5-5-90 principle, which is 5% of the time transmitting, 5% of the time receiving, and 90% of the time idle. Next up, we have the BL1401, which is the 1400 mAh lithium-ion battery. This provides between 12 and 13 hours approximately battery life in DMR mode, once again working on the 5-5-90 principle. There's not so much of a curvature in, as you can see on the edge of the radio. It's pretty much flat, but it still remains thin. For those working the longer shift with their X1E or X1P radio, we have the BL1809 1800 mAh lithium-ion battery. This offers around about 15 hours battery life in digital mode when using a 5-5-90 principle. As you can see, the radio itself with this battery on actually curves outwards. This gives the user the greatest degree of battery life, however, it makes the radio just that little bit thicker. In terms of carrying options, we have a variety of carrying options for the X1P and X1E radios. The first is the PCN005, which is effectively allows you to turn your radio into almost a traditional radio in terms of how you would have used the belt clip. Allows you to connect it onto your belt there. Once again, this does make the radio that little bit thicker, but it does allow you to connect it, as I say, onto your belt or onto your trousers with ease. For those using this in the covert environment, you can select a variety of vests, all product code NCN009, and then there's usually a suffix of an A, B or a C for the vest, so make sure to have a look at them. So far as audio accessories are concerned, for basic audio connection, we have the ACN02, which is the mic and PTT part, which then allows you to connect in a range of Hytera receive-only earpieces. If you look on this side here, I have my push-to-talk button and I have my mic. This also has a clip which allows me to clip it onto my workwear. As I've mentioned, I can then connect in a variety of receive-only earpiece, such as the ES01 earbud earpiece. I have the ES02 acoustic tube earpiece. I have the EH01 C-shaped earpiece. And I have the EH02 swivel earpiece, which you can see there. As the observant of you will have noticed, we have a side adapter already connected on to this X1E radio here on my left. This is an ESW01. This is the ADN02. And this combined together forms a wireless Bluetooth earpiece. So this is the Bluetooth earpiece and this is the adapter. When I connect onto the side of my radio here, the earpiece is charging, and you'll see here that on the earpiece itself there's actually a push-to-talk button. For those who are paying attention earlier on in the video, you'll know that there's actually integral Bluetooth within the radio itself, within the X1E or the X1P radio. This allows you to use a variety of either Hytera Bluetooth accessories such as the POA47 Ring PTT and the EHW02 earpiece. So just to clarify that again, for those Bluetooth accessories and for other third-party Bluetooth accessories, you won't need this side adapter thanks to the internal Bluetooth on the X1E and X1P. Now we move up to the X1E's covert range of audio accessories. We start here with the EAN21. The thing that differentiates this from the previous earpieces that we've been talking about is that it's actually, whilst it has an acoustic tube earpiece on the end of it, it is a 3-wire earpiece. This means that you have your mic part separate from your push-to-talk button, which is then separate from your earpiece as well. This means that unlike having to hold the push-to-talk button to your chest as you would have previously done using a traditional mic and PTT, inline mic and PTT earpiece, you can have this running down your sleeve and in your hand, which allows you to make the push-to-talk from your arm while speaking to the mic, which will be connected onto your workwear, and then you'll have your earpiece connected into your ear obviously as well. For those of you that require the highest level covert operation from your X1E or X1P radio, you can make use of this kit when combined together. It's known as the EWN07. Using this first part, which is the neck loop and also the push-to-talk and volume adjustment part, you can see there's a push-to-talk button on the side here. I can adjust the volume here and do various other functions at the top. The neck loop fits around my neck, and then allows me using this part, which can also be ordered separately as the POA42. This will be inside my ear. You can see the antenna, the tiny little antenna there at the top. This sits in my ear and allows me to receive radio calls completely discreetly. Within this pouch, which the POA42 little earpiece comes in, you will receive a number of spare batteries to allow you to change this nice and simply. This is only part of the range of the X1E and X1P series of accessories, so make sure to talk to your two-way radio provider about any other accessories that you may require for your X1. In the last section of this video, we're going to talk about where Hytera's X1 series, where we've seen it work really well here in the UK, based on the feedback of our customers and our users. As a discrete covert radio, it's no surprise to see it fit really well here in the security industry. Its IP67 rating means that it can withstand the elements, means it can withstand drops and knocks thanks to its robustness as well, and the range of accessories we have really make it unparalleled when it comes to covertness and discretion. We've also seen it work really well for certain managers to differentiate their radios from other radios, and the fact that it has Bluetooth as well means that it's ideal in the hospitality industry, again for the fact that it has discretion. It's also not to be discounted for its MPT, DMR Tier 3 and XPT functionality, meaning it's a very useful alternative to have to the PD7 series when it comes for use in the utilities market, in manufacturing and in transportation as well. Thanks for tuning into this series on Product Focus, covering the Hytera X1 series. If you're watching us on YouTube, why not like, share, subscribe and leave us a comment with your thoughts about Hytera's X1 series radios. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.